Hi, this is a quick walkthrough of a project that we can create in MuleSoft Anypoints Flow Designer. The use case is we want to move a file from an SFTP folder. So moving a file from one SFTP folder and copying it to another SFTP folder. We'll be using this particular tool, CyberDuck, to um, browse through the SFTP folder location. So this is the folder. We will insert the file in the in directory, and when the project runs, MuleSoft project, it will move the file from in directory to the out directory. So we'll start Flow Designer, create a new Mule application, give it a name. Now we'll be asked to select a trigger, and a trigger means what will start this particular integration flow. And there are several connectors that we can pick from in this case. As we said, the focus is to connect into an SFTP location, and so we will pick the SFTP connector as the trigger. And the operation for the SFTP connector, meaning what will create or what will trigger this particular flow, is that a new file or an updated file arrives at that particular SFTP folder. So we will pick this operation, click next. And the next step is to pick a target. So the trigger was an SFTP folder which we'll be reading or polling on. And when the file arrives, then it will eventually what will be the target, and the target in this case again would be an SFTP folder. And what would be the operation that we will pick? So we can pick one of these options. In this case, I am moving the file from one folder to another. So I'll pick the move option and I will say done. Let's come out of this and look at the entire canvas. As you can see, the trigger is on new or update file arriving at an SFTP folder, and then the final destination is another SFTP folder location where we'll be moving the file. In between, we see this data weave or transformation component, which basically means that a file gets read and we can then parse through the elements of the file, the records, and do some transformation before sending it to the final location. In this case, we are not doing any transformation, so we can delete this transform element. So we'll just have these two components with us. Let's open up the first component. And before we configure anything in the boxes over here, we need to configure the configuration. We need to put the configuration of the SFTP server. And I have one that is already pre-configured, but I'll just show how it will look when we are creating a new connection. So we'll say add connection, give a name to connection, connection type SFTP, and then we can put the host, port, username, and password. These are the 4 mandatory fields. Please refer to your SFTP server or the one that has been provided to you and fill in these fields. I'll just come out of this and I will pick the one that I had already configured. I'll just show you what that looks like. This is what it looks like. I can test the connection from here. And the test is successful, and I will click on save. So now the SFTP configuration is mapped here. Now, since I am configuring the trigger, I need to point it to a directory that I am listening to. In this case, the directory is called in. So it's going to be, this is the path of the directory. That's going to be where we are going to be listening for new files or updated files to come in. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say upload /in. And recursive means that if there are subfolders within this directory, then it will listen to those directories as well. I can uncheck this because I'm not doing that right now. And that's about it. There are many more configurations that we can get into. These are more advanced features. There is a more important one is how often this polling will happen at that SFTP location. By default, it is set to 60 seconds. So every minute it will look, but I can configure that. So this basically configures the trigger. Again, the trigger is it's going to listen for new files or updated files coming at that particular folder location. And then finally, the destination is we are just moving the or copying the file rather. Sorry, moving the file, not copying the file. And the source path, again, I can put the source path from where the file will be copied or which file it is. So I will give upload-in, and I can even give the name of the exact file. In this case, I'll be moving an employee.csv file. If you don't give the file name, that's fine as well, and it will just move all the files or copy all the files in that particular folder. And the target in this case is out. And I don't want to create any parent directory, so I'll uncheck this. Oh, and before I finish this, I also need to configure the SFTP connection, which again is the previous one that I had created. So I'll just pick that. Again, there are few more configurations like override and renaming of the file. Once it's moved, I'll just keep it as is. And that's it, right? It's simple, just two components, read. The flow gets triggered when a new file arrives, and then when a new file arrives, just move the file, and within the move, I put the source path and the destination path. And then we click on this button, test, and that will run this project in a temporary runtime on the cloud environment. We'll wait for a few seconds. So it's running now, running in a temporary environment. Now coming back into our location, as I said, if I go back out folder is empty, in folder is empty as well right now. So our integration is waiting for a new file to arrive. So I'll just copy a file from my local directory. It arrives. Let's go back to the browser. As I told you, the browser, this particular integration is polling this particular SFTP location for a new file, and it just got triggered. You can see these green check boxes, which means it just got triggered. Can go back out there. Let's go back out, hit refresh. All right. So as you can see, we look at the in directory, the file is not present here because it got copied or moved, rather not copied, and the out directory is where the employee file got moved to. All right, and that's it.